The Cracked Pot. Once upon a time, there was a water-bearer in India who had two large pots, each hung on each end of a pole which he carried across his neck. One of the pots had a crack in it, and while the other pot was perfect and always delivered a full portion of water at the end of the long walk from the stream to the master's house, the cracked pot arrived only half full. For a full 2 years, this went on daily, with the bearer delivering only 1.5 pot full of water in his master's house. Of course, the perfect pot was proud of its accomplishments, perfect to the end for which it was made. But the poor, cracked pot was ashamed of its own imperfection and miserable that it was able to accomplish only half of what it had been made to do. After 2 years of what it perceived to be a bitter failure, it spoke to the water-bearer one day by the stream. "I am ashamed of myself, and I want to apologize to you." "Why?" asked the bearer. "What are you ashamed of?" "I have been able, for these past 2 years, to deliver only half my load, because this crack in my side causes water to leak out all the way back to your master's house. Because of my flaws, you have to do all of this work, and you don't get full value from your efforts," the pot said. The water-bearer felt sorry for the old cracked pot, and in his compassion he said, "As we return to the master's house, I want you to notice the beautiful flowers along the path." Indeed, as they went up the hill, the old cracked pot took notice of the sun warming the beautiful wildflowers on the side of the path, and this cheered it some. But at the end of the trail, it still felt bad because it had leaked out half its load, and so again, it apologized to the bearer for its failure. The bearer said to the pot, "Did you notice that there were flowers only on your side of your path, but not on the other pot's side? That's because I've always known about your flaw, and I took advantage of it. I planted flower seeds on your side of the path, and every day while we walk back from the stream, you've watered them. For 2 years, I have been able to pick these beautiful flowers to decorate my master's table. Without you being just the way you are, he would not have this beauty to grace his house. Each of us has our own unique flaw, but it's the cracks and flaws we each have that make our lives together so very interesting and rewarding. You've just got to take each person for what they are and look for the good in them." God exists. A man went to a barber shop to have his hair and his beard cut as always. He started to have a good conversation with the barber who attended him. They talked about so many things on various subjects. Suddenly, they touched the subject of God. The barber said, "Look, man, I don't believe that God exists as you say so." "Why do you say that?" asked the client. "Well, it's so easy. You just have to go out in the street to realize that God does not exist. Oh, tell me, if God existed, would there be so many sick people? Would there be abandoned children? If God existed, there would be neither suffering nor pain. I can't think of a God who permits all of these things." The client stopped for a moment thinking, but he didn't want to respond so as to prevent an argument. The barber finished his job, and the client went out of the shop. Just after he left the barber shop, he saw a man in the street with a long hair and beard. It seems that it had been a long time since he had his cut, and he looked so untidy. Then the client again entered the barber shop, and he said to the barber, "Know what? Barbers do not exist." "How come they don't exist?" asked the barber. "Well, I am here, and I am a barber." "No," the client exclaimed. "They don't exist because if they did, there would be no people with long hair and beard like that man who walks in the street." "Ah, barbers do exist. What happens is that people do not come to us." "Exactly," affirmed the client. "That's the point. God does exist. What happens is people don't go to him and do not look for him. That's why there's so much pain and suffering in the world." A boy with strong belief. Sheikh Fath al-Mausili relates, "Once I saw a young boy walking through the jungle. It appeared as if he was uttering some words. I greeted him with salam and he replied accordingly. I inquired, 'Where are you going?' He retorted, 'To the house of Allah, Makkah.' I further asked, 'What are you reciting?' 'The Quran,' he replied. I remarked, 'You are at a tender age, it is not an obligation that you are required to fulfill.' He said, 'I have witnessed death approach people younger than me and therefore would like to prepare if death was to knock on my door.' I astoundingly commented, 'Your steps are small and your destination far.' He responded, 'My duty is to take the step, and it remains the responsibility of Allah to take me to my destination.' I continued to ask, "Where is your provision and conveyance, means of transport?" He replied, "My yaqeen, belief, is my provision, and my feet are my conveyance." I explained, "I am asking you regarding bread and water." He replied, "Oh, Sheikh, if someone invited you to his house, would it be appropriate to take your own food?" I exclaimed, "No." Similarly, my Lord has invited his servant to his house. It is only the weakness of your yaqeen that makes us carry provisions. Despite this, do you think Allah will let me go to waste? Never, I replied. He then left. Sometime later, I saw him in Makkah. He approached me and inquired, "Oh, Shaykh, are you still of weak belief?" Source: Stories of the Pious by Shaykh Ahmad Ali. So viewers, we hope you like the stories today. If you like the stories, then do not forget to like the video. If you are new to my channel, then subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, and turn on the notification to all. Goodbye.